everyone, my name is Rhonda Robson and welcome to my fluid art channel. I'm a fluid artist in the middle of the United States of America in Sioux City, Iowa. Today we're going to do 4 bloom techniques, and those 4 blooms are going to turn into 4 beautiful wine glasses. So the first thing you're going to want to do for your bloom is you're going to want to put down what we call a pillow paint. And my pillow paint is Sherwin-Williams Semi-Gloss Ultra White. You can use other, but this is just what I use. Then you're going to mix your colors. Now the colors I have already pre-mixed, but the mix that I use is 3 parts Sherwin-Williams Base C to 2 parts polyacrylic Minwax. And then I do a 1-to-1 ratio of the paint to the mix depending on how thick my paint is. Now if my paint is too thick, I'll add some more polyacrylic. All right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, after I layer my paints, is I'm going to put on my cell activator. And my cell activator is 3 parts American Floetrol to 1 part Amsterdam paint. I'm using titanium white here, 1 part glue all, and 6 drops of wood conditioner, which is the brand of Minwax. Then I'm going to blow my paint. I'm going to blow the cell activator across the paint colors. So I blow down and across the paint. You can kind of see me as I do this. I blow down and across. And if you have some excess white, you can just blow straight down into that and that'll push the cells up. But again, just blow down and across. Now, after you get the design that you love, you can spin it out. But I am kind of looking at this going, I think I need something more. So I'm going to take a skewer and I'm going to make some curlicues through this. Right now, I'm allowing the paint to come back into the center. And then I'm going to add in some curlicues. All right, so here I go. I'm going to just kind of make some swirls in the center and a little bit on the sides. Just bringing some of the color into the areas that maybe have a little less. So like that black right there, curlicue, some of the purple into there and the white, and it just adds a little bit more. Or like the gray, too much gray, so I add in a little bit of the white or the purple. Let's go ahead and spin this out. And as you spin it out, you don't have to go really fast, but I will go in multiple directions. I'll go to the right one time and then I'll go to the left one time. I got a couple air bubbles there, so I was just trying to pop those there. And let's go ahead and spin it out again. It's getting more and more of what I like. Stretching the paint out is what you're doing when you spin it. Now you can stretch it by tilting the canvas, but I really like using my spinner. And there's the wet end results. And let's get on with number 2. So again, you're going to put your Sherwin-Williams Semi-Gloss Ultra White as the pillow paint. You're going to mix your colors ahead of time using the Sherwin-Williams Base C and the polyacrylic Minwax. Do it a 1-to-1 ratio, a little less, a little bit more, depending on the paint thickness and full bodiness of it. And yeah, off to the side here, I've got all my paints. You can kind of see me kind of grabbing a few of them and coming back over. I'm adding all different kinds of colors. I love working with these tiles because I can pick any color that I may not have thought that I would have wanted and just add it. And it's amazing that some of these color palettes that I never thought I would use, I really love them. So I'm just adding some black and some charcoal gray and some pinks in this one. And then of course we're going to add the cell activator again. Same formula, same with the titanium white. And then you're going to blow down and across the color paints. So you push your air down into the center of the white paint and across the color paints. And you know, it takes a little bit of time to get used to doing this. I did over, I don't know, 110 of these tiles all in a row in a matter of a few weeks. And I was really starting to get the kind of that knack of blowing. And if you have some extra white in the center, again, like I said earlier, you just blow straight down, or like what I'm doing is I'm kind of shaking my head back and forth to see if I can get some cells to pop up. But really, it's really up to you on how you want to do this. And then once you've kind of get to the design that you kind of like, this one right here, there's a lot of white in the center. So I'm going to, again, take my skewer and work some curlicues, but I'm just allowing it to come back into the center. And then I did see quite a bit of white, so I'm going to try to, you know, blow some more out, see if I can do that without using my stick initially. So just play with the amount of volume of air you're pushing out, whether it's smaller or whether it's big. Okay, so I left this in. There was no music or anything. I don't know why I was doing a little happy dance. I don't know, but I had to leave it in because it was just way too funny. So sorry, it was just too cute. All right, so I'm popping some air bubbles here to see if any cells come up. There's really not much that's coming up, so I'm just going to continue to blow. And then here in a few moments, I'm going to do, I can't believe I was doing that. All right, so here I am going through with my skewer, just making some curlicues. Because there was so much white paint in the center, I just did quite a bit there. Not a lot of cells came up on this one. This one could have been a good one for a swipe, but yeah, it just didn't have very many cells. It had enough though, because after you see, you can kind of start seeing some there as I'm stretching the paint out. It looks really, really good. I like that a lot. That looks really good. Kind of mesmerizing to watch you spin it. And there's the wet results. Really cool. So number 3, put down your pillow paint again. I use Sherwin-Williams like I've said before. And again, I really like using tiles. Just it helps you kind of get the knack of learning how to do a bloom. I'm not really great at it on bigger canvases. I'm learning how to do that. But right now, I really like using these tiles. So then, of course, you're going to mix your colors. I have a whole bunch off to the side ready for me. And so I use that mix that I've used all throughout, 1-to-1 ratio. And then this one is going to be some really cool blues and grays. And that happens to be a charcoal gray right there. And let's put a lighter gray. Just really, really pretty stuff. This is interference blue. And then I decided to put interference gold on this one too as well. So that's what those last 2 colors are. Really cool. All right, so this is black Amsterdam paint instead of the white for my cell activator. And it looks amazing. Wait until you see this. So lots of paint on here, so I was able to really get a good blow in the center and across. And yeah, it looks really good so far. Look at, oh, you see those cells popping up? Love that effect. Really cool. Sometimes, you know, the white looks really great, and then other times the black looks amazing. I love using the 2 different colors. I'm going to try to do some more with some different colors, but for now I really like using the black and the white. I'm going to do some more in that center, trying to figure out how to get that center not so black. And I just dumped my apron into the wet paint, trying to get across there. So it's so weird. Oh, I made so many that day. You can kind of see, I'm sorry, it's so busy on the outside with all the drippings from the paint. But you know, hey, this is really cool. So now I'm allowing the paint to come back to the center. You can kind of see it coming back in. before I decide if I'm going to add any more curlies or what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and put in some swirlies in the center and just kind of make like almost like flower petals. Now let's just swirl all the way through this. Squirrel, swirl. Oh, I love making these videos because I make myself laugh. I hope I make you laugh too sometimes, just because I crack myself up. So then you want to stretch out the paint and just spin it out, or you can tilt. I noticed that on this one, the center was kind of moving too far into one direction, so I'm actually gonna tilt this one a little bit. But most of the time I try to do my best of just spinning it to, you know, allow the excess paint off the tile. Now you don't want to spin it too much to have all your paint go off the tile, because you want it to be thick enough that, especially for wine glasses, so that I can actually peel it off. And here I decided, I noticed that I had those cells right there that were really, really pretty. And so I really was trying hard to get that like center off to the side to get more of the cells stretched out. So, oh my gosh, look at that. It's so pretty. That one section up at the top, really cool right there. Look at that. That's the wet. All right, so this is the last one today, number 4 of the blooms. Of course, you're gonna put your pillow paint on, you're gonna get your paint mix, and then you're gonna take your mix and add it to your color paints, right? And typically a 1-to-1 ratio, but it depends on the body of the paint. This one, I really like using neon colors, so I've started using a lot more of that. And so the pinks and the greens, and I wish I had a little bit more of that green right there. That was really pretty. It's kind of like a, I don't want to say it was like, it wasn't a cobalt blue, I think it was a cobalt green though. Really pretty. I didn't have a lot, and it was really thicky. It was really thick. So I got a little bit of it at the end in the end results, but added some gold on there, add some more dark colors. So I think this is a metallic charcoal gray, and then yeah, do some cell activator. So the cell activator on this one happens to be white. Again, you're going to press down with your air and move the paint across the pillow paint. And so the cell activator goes across the color paint goes across the pillow paint, and the pillow paint helps bounce it back up. It helps the cells to bounce back up and create those cells. You can kind of see that one little area right there. See that? That was from that dark green. I wish I'd had more of that. That looks really pretty with the fluorescent green. Let's take some swirls through here as well, and then we're going to spin this out. And the green came out a little bit more than I thought it was going to, which was really nice because that looked really great in a glass. Look at those cells popping up. That looks awesome. That'll be really pretty. Look at that. Beautiful. That is gorgeous. I love the neon green. All right, so now all 4 results. These are the dried results and the skins. And then there's the end results for the glasses. This is what other people see when you are sipping your glass. And then there's what you see when you're looking down on the glass when the glass is sitting down. Now stay tuned. If you want to know how I do this, I've got steps 2 through 10 in this as well. So the next step is to peel the paint off, and of course after it dries. And I was able to allow these to dry just 24 hours. But I take my X-Acto knife or the utility knife and I go from corner to corner, and again corner to corner. Then you can just take the utility knife and kind of peel up one corner and just slowly peel the skin off of the tile. It is as easy as that. Seriously, these are super easy to do. So let me just show you another one. I love this one. It's so pretty. Love it. All right, so you go from corner to corner, and you can kind of see how I have my thumb on the blade. It helps me to guide it. Notice how my hand is also off to the side, out of the way from the blade. And then I just peel it from the corner and I peel it all the way off. I love it. Look at that shimmer. So pretty. Can't wait to put that underneath a glass. So I have my Liquitex Gloss Medium. I have that off to the side here. I've got my scissors. I've got my X-Acto knife. I have a glass, a wine glass, and I've got my tape. So the first thing I do is I kind of decide what I really like for the bottom. So this one, I definitely want the bottom there. And so I grab my X-Acto knife and I open it up and lock it in place. I put my hand on top of the glass, and then I take my sharp knife, my sharp X-Acto knife, and I go around it. Now you're going to notice that my glass accidentally slips from time to time, so you've got to be careful. I don't put my hand down here because I'm afraid that my sharp utility knife, X-Acto knife, will cut me. So I keep my hand up above and I cut from the top. So I just take it and go around and cut from the top. Okay, so I got this mostly cut out, and then I want to go ahead and do my second one. So this is my second one. I want to do two. I'm doing two glasses at once with one tile skin, or one skin tile. And it doesn't have to be exact or perfect because I'm going to use the scissors next. So then I take those two things and I put them off to the side, and I take off my circles. So you can kind of see that it's not exact, right, around there. And then sometimes you're going to notice that you didn't cut it all the way through, like that one right there. And that's what my scissors are for, is just to kind of, you see the edges indented in there, and I just cut it out. So then I'm going to take my skins and I'm going to adhere them to the back of this so that they are back to back. So I flip this over and I'm going to put my skins here and here, and I'm going to go ahead and glue them down right away. So, and it looks like I cut into there, so I got to be really careful. If you accidentally cut or there's a crack, you can use your pens to help hide that. So I'll show you that here in just a second, because I think I'm going to have to hide that one. So I get just a tiny bit of my Liquitex Gloss Medium, and I just put on here. That's all you need for gluing these circles down to each other. And I'm just going to put a little bit like that. And then I'm going to put my skin on top of here and just kind of rub it down. And the same thing with this one here. Try to get it as close away from that crack as I can, but still being able to get a full circle. Okay, then I adhere it there. Then I take my scissors, and I know this is time consuming, but let me tell you, they look so much better than not taking the time to cut them circles and not to put them back to back and glue them, and it just looks gorgeous. Now you can just put one circle on the glass, and I'll show you that in this next one that I do. You can do that if you want and then paint over it. I've done that before. So there's one disc done, and then here I'm going to take another one, and I keep my skins. I've got a pile of them. I did 96 of them yesterday afternoon and last night. And I use those skins for magnets, and I'll show you what I've got here in just a second. But I make sure as best I can that the white is covered and it's mostly in a circle like that. So that's how I mostly do it. And let's see, there's a little bit of white right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off there. But I wouldn't have to do that either. Okay, so then I take these skins. Let me just show you. These are my 2 discs. And then I have these magnets that I make as well. That there's enough on there to make that. And this one I don't like as well, but you know, I could find something like if the center was more like that, that would look really cool, right? So I keep these just in case I use those for that off to the side. All right, so let's get back to what we are doing. So I've got these 2 discs now, and I take 2 glasses right there, and these discs will go on the bottom. So then what I decide is which side I like better from the top. So I put the glass down and I kind of decide, okay, that looks kind of cool. That looks kind of cool. Let's put this one. Which one do I like better? Ooh, I think I like, that one's a tougher one. I think I like this one better with a deeper pink. And then what's going to happen is that's going to be my bottom. So that looks really pretty, right? Just like that. All right, so that's going to be this one. And then this one, I think I like that one better. All right, so then I have my 2 glasses. Let me put this more in the center for you. My 2 glasses, I've got, these are going to be the bottoms that are going to be seen from the top, so I keep them flipped up. Then I take my Liquitex medium and I put 1 dot, just 1. That's all you need is 1 little dot in the center. And then I take my brush and I just gently brush it across. If you overwork this or not put enough on here or put too much, you're going to see streaks from the other side. So I just kind of barely brush it on. Then I take my circle and I put it in my 2 fingers side to side, and I center it on here. Let me move this one off to the side so you can see better. I center it on here like that, and then I take my finger because there's an indent and I push it down. And then I take it, oh, and it slid a little bit, so let's put that back in the center. And then I just let it kind of go all the edges and push that down. So let's do the other one again. So I take my fingers, put them like that, get the sides, press in the center, and this one I must have had more Liquitex on it than normal because it's sliding a little bit more. And then that's what it looks like from the top, right? I don't know if you can see that very well, but those look really, really cool. So you can kind of see how I've got an edge right there that's kind of sticking out. So that's what I use the scissors for. So I put my hand on the bottom to keep it from sliding, and I take my scissors just on the edge, not underneath. If you get underneath it, you'll actually cut it too close. So I take it on the edge and I just snip around the edge to make it so you don't see it from the top, and you can't catch then your finger on it later and peel it off, right? All right, so there's that one. It's done. So I'm going to put that one off to the side, and then I'm going to look at this one. This one, it looks like it's got a little bit on this side over here. Kind of moving it over just a little bit because I see some space that's not all the way to the edge. This one right here doesn't have space all the way, it doesn't have something all the way to the edge. And actually that's not horrible. And so let me show you how I'm going to now rectify that. So I'm gonna get these little skins out of the way. The next thing I do then is I use an old tape thing and I put it in the center of my tile, and I grab a paint brush pen, whichever one color you think would look the best. So for this one in particular, I think I can either do gold. I probably could do like that pink if I really wanted it. Green, that gold there, but I think I'm just gonna do this gold. So, and I just take it and I just put it on the edge, and I go a little bit at a time circling this. And if I need to get on the actual top of it, then I do that. And you don't have to do this, but this is just because I don't want to see that little white, right, of the skin that you can see when you look down on it right there. So that's that white. Can you see that? How that's got some white right there. So I'm just going to take my pin and go around it. And then sometimes I get it on the glass, so I use a paper towel and I just kind of circle it like this to get it off the glass. So it comes off nice. And then there you go. So that's the first one. Let me go ahead and do this one. And I put this here, it just helps me so I don't slide it off the tile. It just is a little bit better for, I don't know, maneuvering and being more exact as I'm trying to go around. Try not to get on the bottom and get into the actual painting. But if you do, the great thing about these pens is all you got to do is add a little bit of water and to like your paper towel or your finger, and you can get it off. So, and I take a little bit of extra time. I'm taking a little more time than I normally do for you guys right now. It takes me about 7 minutes from the time I decide to cut the skin till I get it prepped for 2 glasses to get it prepped for resin. Okay, so now that I've got the glasses done, I go ahead and put them down. I grab my tape, my painter's tape, and I want to protect my glass from the resin. So I just tape down all 4 sides, and I use it on the tile because here I'll show you why. So I cut on the tile so I don't cut anything. And then I use my tape on the tile because then I can go like this, get all my edges down, and then I just peel it up and it looks like that. Okay, so I'll do this one here again for you guys. And you probably can tell I'm from the Midwest in the United States because I say, you guys. Instead of, I used to live in Houston and I said y'all all the time in Texas. Hey y'all, but I don't know, I'm just no longer that. I'm a Midwest gal now. All right, and so I just peel that off and there I go. And now they are ready for resin. All right, so I'm going to put them in the box and I'm going to show you how protected they are back into the box. Then I take my glasses and I just put them down in here, and look at how well protected they will be when I go to resin these. I'm going to get going. I'm going to do a few more for you, and if you I'll probably fast forward through this and slow down a little bit here and there, but for the most part I'm going to get these done. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to measure my resin, and you're going to need your PPE, which is personal protection gear. I'm outside, so I don't need a respirator, and really with this stuff, you don't need a respirator. Okay, the key to resin is to make sure that you measure the exact amount. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And I don't need much for these, so I'm going to go ahead and get my, let's see, this one will be the hardener, and pour out a little bit in there, not a lot. We'll go to 1 ounce. Okay, it's exactly 1.06. You need to be exactly the same when you add in your resin. So you got your hardener in there already. Now I got to add in my resin. 1.06 will get us 12 or 2.12, 2.12. 2.1, 2.5, 2.05, I mean. 2.16, so I didn't get quite 2.112, but that's okay. All right, then you have to, hey Siri, set timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
So then you need to stir your resin for 3 minutes. This is I had a whole bunch of Panera extra glasses from when we did a, I don't know, catering thing, so I just have an extra one, so I'm using it. Since I'm just doing a little bit of it, I'm not doing a huge amount, I'm gonna go ahead and just do it with this. Okay, so let me show you how I did my first coat of resin. So it was actually in the garage when it was super cold, so my resin was kind of thicker. So I ended up just spooning it in with a plastic spoon onto each single one that was in the same box. I was freezing. I couldn't believe how cold it was that I was doing this, and I really wanted to protect my family and the fumes. So I'm out in the garage in the middle of winter doing this, and I think it was, and I'm not kidding you, I think it was a wind chill factor that day of like 20 below zero. But anyway, I'm out there doing this, and all for a fundraiser, right? You can kind of see it looks milky white, and that's just because there's a lot of air bubbles in there. And so this first coat that I'm doing, I'm just gonna kind of get the resin in the middle, and then I'm gonna spread it with my spoon, and then I'll heat it with my heat gun. You do have to be cautious with resin, you know, getting on yourself, on your hands, and really depending on what type of resin you're using, it has quite a bit of fumes and it can cause respiratory problems. So I had decided that I was going to go ahead and use a respirator here, and so I actually have a respirator, so I'll show you a picture of me with the respirator on. But then I discovered that this particular resin I didn't need to, but yeah, it kept me warmer anyway. All right, well, let's take the heat gun and let's heat these up. And you kind of start high up and then you go down, and you can kind of see how it's starting to like pop the bubbles, the air bubbles, and then you'll start to see it actually get warm and start moving a lot more than just popping the air bubbles. And it kind of looks like I'm moving fast, but I'm actually got this on a little bit faster mode, so you can kind of look through this and watch through this a little bit. You probably have already fast forward, and if you haven't, thanks for joining me and keeping going with me. But now you can kind of see I'm getting a little closer to the actual wine glass to heat it up, to heat that resin up and pop those air bubbles that are in there, because that's the big thing, right? You don't want that milky white, you want it clear, crystal clear. So you just need to make sure you heat it up enough that it's going to get rid of all those bubbles. And it was harder to work with it being so cold, so just be aware of that when you are using resin. And again, on this, I was worried about the resin going over the side of the glasses. And after the first coat and with the second coat, it didn't bother me because I just peeled it off. I just spent the time and just peeled it off. And yep, it adds more time. It does. But they look fabulous. And I'm so looking forward to showing this to the group of people at my fundraising event. See how shiny it's getting? They're looking so good. I think all the air bubbles are popped now, and I'm just kind of making sure that it gets all the way to the edges. And on that one, you can kind of see there's some bubbles on even the edges. Okay, so welcome back. Now that you have done your resin, I want to show you what I do next. So these I resined yesterday, and I just want to tell you a couple tricks that if you would get some resin on here while it's still wet, rubbing alcohol works really, really great for these. So I just wanted to kind of show you that. It's not so good once it's dry, but while it's still wet. Okay, so the items that you're going to need are possibly some scissors, a X-Acto knife, or technically a utility knife, and then I used a small one too in order to kind of bend to get to things. So those are the tools that I use. Typically it's just this one, but I do use those ones from time to time. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I check to see if it is dry enough, and again, I did these yesterday. So the reason why I'm going ahead and doing them right away is I don't want them to get too hard. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off. And then once the tape is off, you're going to see that there is resin along here. Okay, so what I do is I take my X-Acto knife, or what my husband calls a utility knife, and I just start in an area, and I start, oops, I do it from the top. And I just put lotion on my hands, so that's not good. Let's get some gloves to make sure it doesn't slip, because the worst thing you want to do is to slip while you have a knife in your hand, right? Yeah. All right, get my gloves on. All right, so now that I have this, what I do is I take it from the top, not from the bottom, because if I go like this, I tend to go into the design too much. So I go from the top and I start right here, and I start cutting along the edge. Now careful of where your thumb is, careful where your other body parts are, because if you accidentally like flip it, you've got to be careful there. Okay, so I go along cutting that. And then I discover I've got more. I go on the top now, just to make sure that all of the top is off. And what I mean all the top is off is like all the resin is off the top of the area. So, did you see how that knife kind of went over here? It almost got me. So you just have to be careful as you are doing these. And standing up where I'm at right now is just a harder way to do this, and honestly the gloves are harder for me. So once I get that off, the sides off, it's warm, or it's soft enough to kind of melt the sides. So then what I do is I take a paper towel or a towel, and I just kind of friction it, and then I meld the sides together. And I'm going to use that with my hands. I'm going to have to wash my hands, all the lotion that's on them right now. And what that does is it kind of warms up the sides, and it just kind of gets the sides to be more of a gloss instead of a cut area. Okay, and so there it is, all done, ready to go. Then I always check to see if there's like any on the glass, just in case, and if there would be, I use this right here to scrape off the edges. Right, kind of go away from yourself, scrape off the edges of the resin, wherever that is. I see just a little piece right here. There. Okay, so that one's done. All right, I'm going to stop this and come back and wash my hands from this grease that I have right now. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to try this again. So I've got my tape here, get that out of the way. That one is done, put it off to the side. So let's do this one. Let's go ahead and take off the tape. This one doesn't have as much on the edges as the other one did, but again, from the top, get my glasses on, I take the resin off, and I do it on the day after I do resin, because if I do it on 2 or 3 days later, it gets so hard that it's almost like glass, and then it's really hard to get off. There. Okay, so now that I have my sides done, I can take my hand or a towel like I did before, and I use friction to soften the edges because it's still 24 hours since I did my resin, so it softens the edges for me. So you can kind of see that I actually had blue pen on that one. Let me go get my towel. This is the one that I was using, so I just kind of use it, friction, and then I melt it. So there you go. And then I take this and I clean up my edges. Collects the pieces. All right, we'll do one more. Take the tape off. Nice and easy from the top. I just kind of saw it back and forth. I don't try to go too fast, because then if I do, it'll like jerk up and I don't want it to hit me. Gotta be very, very careful when you're working with sharp knives. Utility knife is sharp. Now on this one, there is some residue right here. Okay, so that one is now done. So looks like there's a little bit of resin right there. Take my towel, friction, and then I just kind of take my fingers and I push it into the sides. And there you go. Thanks for joining me today, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell. And if you like this video, I bet you're gonna like these as well. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye! Bye!